Hello, thank you for joining me. See, this is our video number 5 in our series, how to embellish a door in regard to our assignment that's due in week 2. So what I'd like to do is continue our sketching in regard to our panels that we made. I'm going to go ahead and keep the, the basic cut extrude that we have going here, and add additional, elements to our and edges to our fillets and chamfers as we go. So we're going to go ahead and continue to draw a few more rectangles here to define what we have here. So I'm going to try to establish a relationship here. I can't really do that with a rectangle tube. I can make that horizontal and vertical, as you can see. But I do have to establish a collinear relationship between these two lines. So this line and that line, we're going to do that, make that collinear. We know that the distance between this line and that line is going to be 4. And we don't have this defined down here. We're going to go ahead and define that later. So let's go ahead and do an offset. Offset's going to remember the value you put in there before. And let's put that on the inside. And then if we go to rebuild, now we have 2 of them. So it's one convenient way of doing it. Chamfer, fillet. Let's go ahead and make modifications there. Let's add some additional edges to these. So we can click on these 4 lines. That puts in our fillet. Uh-oh. What happened? I got something here. I think I probably chose a line I probably shouldn't have. So let's see what we did. Okay, that one needs to be there and not there. So there's a reason why I didn't give us a full preview. That one needs to be unselected. That needs to be put there, and that looks like it works pretty well. So green check mark. Now let's go ahead and redo our chamfer too. So remember, we picked the top edge for each one of these, and you're welcome to experiment with this until you get a form that you like. You don't have to do everything my way. In fact, I prefer you didn't. So a green check mark, and now we have that in place. So let's do that with our panel below. Now if I measure my door right, there's a 7-inch difference between a center line that's good and go right down the middle where the doorknob is and when the panel starts in the bottom. And it's 8.5 inches off the bottom. So let's go back and edit our sketch. And let's continue to draw some more rectangles. We'll put this rectangle in here real loose in a manner, and then we'll take our center line and put it right down the middle where our doorknob is. Here's one reason why we may want to have had that line there for our doorknob initially. We're going to bring that out here and then make this edge, and actually we're just going to make a terminate at that edge, but you do want to make sure that you do have a coincident relationship with the circle that defines where the doorknob is going to be. Okay, so the distance between this line and that line is going to be 7 inches, but before we do that, let's go ahead and establish the relationships we did on the other rectangles that we drew. Those are going to be collinear. These 2 are going to be collinear. And now the distance between this line and that center line, if we go over the edge, is going to be 7 inches total. And we're going to do the same thing with this. We're going to make that 7 inches, make it go over the edge. That's one way to do it. Now we have 2 dimensions in there, which isn't very elegant, so let's do this a little bit differently. Let's pull that down a little bit just so we can see the exaggeration of this. Let's go ahead and put a center line down here from maybe that point to that point, and let's just go ahead and dimension that. So that center line is going to be 7 inches, but it may not be symmetrical, so what we can do is we can take that center line, right click on it, go to select midpoint, click on that line, and then choose the midpoint, or not the midpoint, but the coincident relationship with that in our menu shortcut. And then we can finally fully dimension this, perhaps, by putting this last dimension in down here. And what I measured was 8.5 inches. So now we have a little bit of a kick plate in the bottom. We have a little bit of a thick area over here where we have the hardware for the door. I'm going to keep that open a little bit. The only thing is not fully defined, it's not going to fully define this, is this dimension up here, which is 16 inches. This, we can make a square, we can give that a specific distance here. To make that a square, we can make that equal to each other, which only moves it just a little bit. And that looks like it'll work pretty well. Last thing we want to do is offset these lines. We're going to do that on the inside. Do a green check mark. So we can do that over here if you like, or right click and go to green check mark. It looks like we don't have that there. So let's go ahead and do a rebuild right now. So now we have all of our features in here, and we need just to populate our fillets and our chamfers. So right click on fillet, click on that line, the outside line here. Looks like it's not choosing the right line again, so you have to be careful with that. This line over here, that edge, this edge, and finally this edge down here, and then we can do the same thing with the chamfers. So I think you have a pretty good idea of what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video, and then we'll pick up more of it on the next video.